Oh, my dear Alex, come sit here by the fire with me, where the logs crackle soft like secrets in the night. Feel that. The warmth seeping into your small hands, chasing away the chill from the autumn wind whistling through the eaves of this old cabin in Maple Hollow, Vermont. But hush now, child, and hold my wrinkled hand tighter, because the air feels heavy tonight, like it's carrying a storm I didn't see coming. Therefore, we must be quiet, you and I, in this cozy room with its nutty pine walls and the quilt your great-grandma pieced from scraps of our lives. But listen, do you hear the mailbox lid clanging shut outside? That's the postman, late as usual, dropping something that might change everything. Your eyes, Alex, they're wide as the harvest moon, 7 years old and full of wonder, but tonight, they hold a question I see flickering like the flames. Alex, you're my light in these twilight years, with your messy brown hair and that grin that reminds me of your grandpa, God rest his soul. But tonight, as the shadows stretch long across the braided rug, I need you to lean in close. That envelope he just delivered, it's from your mama, my daughter Laura, the one who hasn't spoken to me in 15 long years. Therefore, my heart races like a deer in the woods, because I know what's inside before I even tear it open. But let's not rush, stories like mine, they need unraveling slow, like pulling yarn from a tangled skein. This tale, child, it's woven with love that bloomed and withered, losses that hollowed me out, sacrifices that built me back, and hope that flickered faint but never died. It starts right here, but long ago, in 1950, when I was 20 and the world was still raw from the war. But hold my hand, Alex, this envelope can wait a moment while I begin, because once I open it, the past will flood in like the river after snow melt. The door creaks as I rise from the rocker, my slippers whispering on the floorboards worn smooth by generations. The envelope sits on the mantel now, cream paper glowing in the firelight, Laura's neat script addressing it to mother. But oh, Alex, the ache, it blooms in my chest like wild roses in June, thorns and all. 15 years of silence, broken now. Therefore, I sink back down, pulling you onto my lap, and trace the seal with a trembling finger. Alex, darling, I whisper, this is from your mama. She wants me to come visit. Says she's missed me. Your brow furrows, confused, because you've only known her through my stories, the ones I tell soft on rainy afternoons. But the truth, child, it's sharper. Laura cut me out like a bad stitch when she was 25, blaming me for her father's death, for the hard times that followed. Therefore, I haven't seen her since, not even when you were born, her only grandchild. But now, this invitation, polite words on fancy stationery, inviting me to her big house in Boston for Thanksgiving. Bring nothing but yourself, mother, it says. But I know better, whispers from town folks say she struck it rich, married into money, living high. Therefore, my mind whirls, why now? After all the letters I sent unanswered, the birthdays forgotten. Alex gasped as I read it aloud, his small fingers clutching my sleeve. Therefore, I tucked the letter away, not ready to face its pull, and draw a deep breath. Before I decide, child, you need to hear my story. It's yours too, roots and all. The fire pops, casting dances on the walls lined with faded photos, me young and laughing with your grandpa, Laura as a baby in my arms. But as the wind howls, rattling the shutters like impatient ghosts, I begin, voice within the dim light. This tale starts in the spring of 1950, Alex, in this very Maple Hollow, where the maples budded red and the air smelled of thaw. I was Eleanor Brooks then, 20 and fierce, with dreams tucked in my apron pocket like wildflower seeds. Picture it, child, our farm on the hill, with its stone walls snaking through pastures, and the barn where cows lowed at dawn. Poor, steady Amos Brooks had come back from the war changed, his laugh quieter, his hands shaking when thunder rolled. More, gentle Ruth, kept the home fires, baking bread that filled the house with comfort. But were leaves scars deeper than skin, Alex? Paul took to the bottle some nights, whispering of beaches in France where friends fell like autumn leaves. Therefore, I stepped up young, milking cows before school, mending fences till my palms blistered. But love found me anyway, sneaky as a fox in the henhouse. That's when I met your grandpa, Henry, at the county fair, tall as the Ferris wheel, with eyes blue as the lake and a smile that melted worries like butter on hot corn. He was 22, a mechanic fixing tractors for folks in town, his hands strong but gentle. We'd still dances under the strong lights, his arm around my waist, whispering of a future with a house like this one, babies laughing in the yard. Therefore, I believed him, every word, because hope was our lantern in those lean times. But fate, she's a cruel spinner. One foggy morning in 52, as I churned butter on the porch, a sheriff's car pulled up the drive, dust clouding like bad omens. Mom met him at the gate, her apron twisted in her fist. "Ellie," she called, voice breaking like glass, "it's Pa." The words hit like a felled tree, accident at the mill, beam collapsed, gone instant. Therefore, the farm fell to us women, Ma and me, with debts piling like snowdrifts. But grief don't pay bills, child. I sold my fair ribbons to buy seed, worked double shifts at the diner, slinging plates till my feet screamed. Henry stuck close, helping plow the fields on weekends, his sweat mixing with mine. "We'll make it, Ellie," he'd say, kissing my forehead under the stars. Therefore, we married quick in 53, in the parlor here, with wildflowers and Mo's blessing. Laura came the next year, a squalling bundle with Henry's eyes and my curls. But joy, Alex, it's fragile as frost on glass. The farm struggled, drought in 55 withered the corn, banknotes loomed like vultures. Mo faded too, her heart giving out in 57, whispering on her deathbed, "Hold the land, Ellie. It's our blood." Therefore, I buried her beside Pa under the hill maples, their stones side by side like old lovers. But with a toddler clinging and Henry working nights, survival meant bending low. I took in sewing, fingers pricking till they numbed, while Henry fixed engines till dawn. Laura grew wild, chasing butterflies in the meadow, her laughter our bomb. But in 60, tragedy struck again and Henry's truck skidded on ice coming home, flipping into the ravine. They said he didn't suffer, but oh, Alex, I did. Widowed at 30, with Laura 6 and the farm crumbling. Therefore, I clawed on, selling acres to pay the mortgage, the land shrinking like my dreams. Laura helped young, gathering eggs with chubby hands, but bitterness rooted in her early. "Why'd Daddy have to work so hard, Mama?" she'd ask, as accusing. I shielded her best I could, sending her to school in patched dresses, saving pennies for her books. But things brought storms, Laura at 15, rebellious as a colt, sneaking out with boys, blaming me for our poverty. "You let Daddy die," she'd scream, slamming doors that echoed through the empty house. Therefore, I worked harder, cleaning houses in town, my back bowing like the old willow by the creek. She left at 18, in 72, bag packed for Boston, dreams of city lights. "I won't end up like you, Mama, stuck in dirt." Her words cut deep, but I hugged her fierce, slipping money I'd scraped into her pocket. Letters came at first, sparse, then nothing. 15 years, Alex, no calls, no visits, even when I wrote of my ex, the farm's last sale. But I survived, taking a job at the library, reading stories to kids like you, finding hope in pages. Then, 2 years ago, luck turned, old lottery ticket from Henry's wallet, tucked away, one big. Quiet rich now, child, but I stayed here, in this humble home, because roots don't need mansions. The envelope trembles in my hand now, Alex's breath quick beside me. "Gran, what will you do?" he asks, voice small. Therefore, I smile through tears, tucking him close. "Hear the rest first, darling. The tragedies that broke me, the sacrifices that mended, they lead to a lesson sharp as thorns. But as the fire dies low, casting long shadows, I continue, the invitations pool growing. The chapters flow like the creek, painful bends, hopeful turns, and at the end. Well, child, revenge comes not in shouts, but in truths that free the heart. Therefore, stay with me. Oh, Alex, my sweet boy, see how the fire settled low now, its embers glowing like the last stars before dawn. Your little hand still curled in mine, warm as the quilt draped over us, here in this old maple hollow cabin where the walls hum with stories older than my wrinkles. Clara, Ben, Tom, and your mama Rosie, they're not here like in those other tales, but Laura's letter sits heavy on the mantel, its creamy paper a ghost in the firelight, mocking the 15 years of silence. Therefore, I rock you gentle, feeling the creak of this chair like my own bones, and I weave on, because this story's a river, deep and winding, carrying the weight of my losses and the hope I've clung to like a lifeline. But oh, child, my heart's a drumbeat, steady but aching, as I pull you deeper into the years that shaped me, years of sacrifice that cut like a scythe, love that bloomed and withered, and survival that forged me tough as the iron stove in the corner. Let's go back, Alex, to the winter of 60, when the world felt like it had frozen solid around me. Your grandpa Henry was gone, taken by that icy ravine, leaving me a widow at 30 with your mama Laura, just 6, her big blue eyes searching for a daddy who'd never come home. This house, it stood steady then, its pine walls holding us like a mother's arms, but the farm was a beast, hungry for money we didn't have. Therefore, I rose before dawn, my breath clouding in the cold, milking the last cow till my hands cramped, chopping wood till my shoulders screamed. But grief, child, it's a shadow that clings, heavier than any chore. Laura would curl up in Henry's old coat, sniffing for his scent, motor oil and cedar, while I scrubbed floors to keep the bank at bay. The bankman came that spring, Mr. Wheeler, with his slick tie and pitying smile, standing on the porch where Henry used to whittle. Mrs. Brooks, he said, you're 3 payments behind. Sell the back acres, or we foreclose. Sell. The land where Pa taught me to plant corn, where Henry and I kissed under the maples. Therefore, I squared my shoulders, apron still damp from washing dishes, and said, give me time, Mr. Wheeler. We'll make it. But time's a loan shark, Alex, demanding interest in sweat and tears. I took a job at the textile mill in town, threading looms till my fingers bled, the hum of machines drowning my sobs. Laura helped where she could, gathering eggs with her small hands, but her questions cut deeper than any needle. Why's Daddy gone, Mama? Why's everything so hard? Therefore, I'd hug her tight, whispering, we're roots, baby girl. We bend, but we don't break. But bending takes its toll, child. By 62, the farm was shrinking, sold off acre by acre to pay debts, each sale a knife in my gut. I'd walk the fields at dusk, touching the stumps where Henry's maples once stood, their sap sweet as our dreams. Laura grew fast, her curls wild as the meadow grass, but her heart turned tawny. She'd see me limp home from the mill, my hands raw, and scowl. You work too much, Mama. It's killing you like it killed Daddy. Therefore, I tried to shield her, sewing her dresses from scraps, saving for her schoolbooks, but the world don't care for shields. In 65, the mill cut hours, and I took to cleaning houses for rich folks in Burlington, riding the bus 2 hours each way, my bones rattling like the windows. Laura was 11 then, fierce and bright, but the hardness was setting in. She'd hide in the barn loft, reading novels she'd sneak from the library, dreaming of cities where nobody scrubbed floors. I'd find her there, pages smudged with hay dust, and she'd snap, I'm getting out, Mama. I won't be stuck like you. But oh, Alex, her words stung like nettles, though I knew they came from pain. Therefore, I kept on, baking pies for church suppers, selling eggs to neighbors, anything to keep this roof over us. But the bank kept circling, and by 68, we were down to the house and a single field, the rest sold to developers who turned our cornrows into tidy lawns. Laura hit her teens like a storm, 15 and full of fire. She'd sneak out at night, meeting boys by the creek, her laughter sharp as broken glass. "You don't get it, Mama," she'd say, slamming the screen door. "You chose this life. I won't." Therefore, I stayed up late, stitching her torn jeans, praying she'd find her way. But in 72, she graduated high school, her cap tossed high, and by summer, she was gone, bag packed, bus ticket to Boston, her last words sharp: "You let Daddy walk himself dead for this dirt. I'm done with it." I slipped my last $10 into her pocket, hugged her till she squirmed, but her eyes were already far away. Therefore, the house fell quiet, Alex, just me and the ghost, Paul's laugh, Mo's hymns, Henry's promises, Laura's footsteps fading down the drive. The years after were a blur of survival. I quit the mill, took a job at the library, shelving books and reading to kids like you, their giggles a balm to my lonesome heart. Letters to Laura went unanswered, piling up in a drawer like fallen leaves. I'd write of the farm's last harvest, the new roof I patched with neighbor help, but silence was her reply. Therefore, I poured love into Maple Hollow, tending the garden, fixing the porch swing, keeping the fire lit. But loss kept knocking. In 80, a fire swept the barn, sparked by a lantern I'd left too close to hay. Neighbors rallied, rebuilding board by board, but I sold Mo's old ring to pay for lumber, each sale a piece of my soul carved away. Laura's silence grew heavier, Alex. I heard whispers: she'd married a lawyer in Boston, lived in a house with columns, had a son, you, my light, though I didn't know you then. I sent birthday cards, Christmas gifts, all returned unopened. Therefore, I leaned on the library kids, on the garden's bloom, on the hope that one day, she'd come back. But in 05, my heart took a hit, chest pains that sent me to the hospital, bills piling like snow. I sold the last field to cover them, keeping just this house and its patch of yard. But then, child, a miracle, 2 years ago, in 23, I found an old lottery ticket in Henry's wallet, tucked in a drawer. Cashed it in, and oh, Alex, it was millions. Quiet millions, though. I stayed here, fixing the roof, planting roses, because money don't change roots. Now, Laura's letter sits there, its words polite. But cold: "Mother, come for Thanksgiving. We've missed you. Missed me. After 15 years of nothing. Therefore, I clutch you closer, Alex, feeling your heartbeat against mine." Town talk says her husband's firm hit hard times, debts mounting like ours once did. But I've learned, child, people don't reach out unless they want something. "Gran," you whisper, eyes wide, "will you go?" Therefore, I smile, brushing your hair. "Not yet, darling. There's more to tell, sacrifices that broke me, loves that mended, lessons sharp as thorns. Clara, Ben, Tom, Rosie, they're not here, but Laura's shadow looms, and I weave on, the fire low, the story building to a truth that'll either bind us or break us. Oh, Alex, my precious boy, the fire's down to a soft glow now, its embers winking like stars caught in the hearth. Your small hand clings to mine, warm under the quilt that's wrapped us through this long night in our Maple Hollow cabin. Laura's letter sits on the mantel, its creamy paper taunting me with her invitation after 15 years of silence. Therefore, I rock you gently, the creak of this old chair echoing the ache in my bones, and I weave the final threads of my story, my voice steady as the Vermont wind humming through the pines outside. But oh, child, my heart's a lantern, flickering with the weight of love lost, sacrifices made, and hope that's held me like this house, unyielding, despite the storms. Tonight, Alex, this tale ends with a truth sharper than a blade, a revenge quiet as snowfall, and a moral that binds us deeper than any vote or dollar could. Lean in, darling, because this is where the roots dig deepest, where Laura's betrayal meets its reckoning, and where we find our way home. Let's step back, sweet one, to the years after Laura left in 72, her footsteps fading down the drive like a song cut short. I was 42, alone in this cabin, its walls echoing with the ghost of Paul's laughter, Moore's hymns, Henry's promises, and Laura's angry words. Therefore, I poured myself into survival, rising before dawn to tend the garden, its rows of carrots and beans my only company. The library job kept me afloat, shelving books, reading to kids whose giggles filled the hollow where Laura's voice once rang. But silence from her cut deeper than any winter chill. I sent letters to Boston, birthdays, Christmases, news of the maple buds, each one returned unopened, like stones dropped in a dry well. Therefore, I leaned on Maple Hollow's heart, the porch swing where I'd rocked Laura, the kitchen where I baked her favorite apple pies, the meadow where we chased fireflies. But hope, child, it's a stubborn seed, sprouting even in cracked earth. The 80s brought more trials, Alex. The bonfire in 80 took our tools, our hay, my peace. Neighbors rallied, hammers swinging under summer sun, but I sold more silver ring, her wedding band, to buy lumber, each sale a piece of my soul carved away. The bank kept circling, Mr. Wheeler's son now, his eyes colder than his father's. Mrs. Brooks, the taxes are up. Sell the house, or we'll take it. Therefore, I worked harder, taking extra hours at the library, cleaning houses on weekends, my hands raw as the earth I tilled. But I held on, for Laura, for the chance she'd come back. Whispers reached me, she'd married a lawyer, Richard, in 78, lived in a Boston brownstone with chandeliers and maids. She had you, Alex, in 18, but never told me, not even a photo. Therefore, my heart broke anew, but I sent you a blanket, knitted with love, hoping it'd reach you somehow. It came back, returned to sender, stamped like a slap. By 90, I was 60, my hair grey as the frost on the windows, my back bent from years of scrubbing floors. The farm was gone, just this house and a patch of garden left. But I kept it alive, planting roses where Laura once played, fixing the roof with borrowed nails. Therefore, I found solace in the kids at the library, their eyes wide as I read tales of heroes and hope. But loss struck again in 95, a heart scare, chest pains that sent me to the hospital, bills piling like snowdrifts. I sold the last of Paul's tools to pay them, keeping this cabin by sheer will. Then, in 23, the miracle, Henry's old lottery ticket, tucked in his wallet, cashed for millions. I didn't move to a mansion, Alex. I stayed here, fixing the porch, planting more roses, because money don't change roots. Therefore, I sent Laura one last letter, telling her of the windfall, hoping it'd soften her heart. No reply, until now, this invitation, sleek as her husband's promises, asking me to Thanksgiving in her fancy house. The fire pops, and you shift, Alex, your eyes big as saucers. Gran, why's Mama want you now, you whisper, voice trembling like the leaves outside. Therefore, I brush your hair, my fingers steady despite the storm in my chest. Town talks reached me, Richard's law firm's failing, debts mounting like ours once did. Laura's invitation ain't love, it's a grab for my money, dressed up in polite words. But I've learned, child, people don't reach out after years unless they're drowning. Therefore, I set you gently on the floor, rise slow, my joints creaking like the stairs, and fetch the tin box from the mantel, the one locked with a key I've worn since Laura left. Alex, darling, I say, voice low as the wind before snow, your mama thinks she can take what's ours. But listen, this house, this life, it's more than money. I opened the box, pulling out a paper, yellowed, folded tight. The deed, signed to a trust for you, Alex, locked till you're 18. I did this years ago, I tell you, holding it up so the firelight catches the ink. When I won, I knew Laura might come sniffing. This house, this land, it's yours, child, safe from her, from banks, from anyone who'd uproot us. Your mouth opens, a soft "oh," and I smile, though my eyes burn. But there's more, Alex. The story's not just about keeping a house. It's about what we owe each other. I turned to the letter, reading it again. Laura's words code as Mabo, Mother, we've missed you. Come for Thanksgiving. Bring nothing but yourself. But I know her game, her husband's debts, her pride, her years of silence. Therefore, I sit tall, pulling you back to my lap. Laura didn't talk to me for 15 years, Alex. She blamed me for her daddy's death, for the hard times we fought through. But when I got rich, she remembered her mama. Therefore, I'll go to Boston, child, but not with a checkbook. I'll go with the truth. You nod, small but fierce, like the boy Henry was when he fixed our tractor. What's the truth, Gran? Therefore, I lean close, whispering like it's a secret for the stars. The truth is this house, our love, our losses, our sacrifices. It's Pa's cornrows, Mo's hymns, Henry's laugh, your mama's curls. It's you, Alex, growing here, safe. I'll tell Laura that money don't buy forgiveness. She wants my wealth. She'll get my story instead, a mirror to her heart. Revenge ain't shouting, child, it's showing someone what they've lost. I'll sit at her table, look her in the eye, and ask why she left us. But I'll offer her a way back, not with dollars, but with love, if she'll take it. The fire's near out now, Alex, just a whisper of warmth. You hug me tight, and I feel your trust, your roots twining with mine. Therefore, I stand, tucking the deed back in its box, and carry you to the window. Outside, the maples sway, their leaves silver in the moonlight, whispering of Pa, Ma, Henry, and the years I held this place. This is yours, Alex, I say, pointing to the land, the house, the stars. Laura may have voted me out of her life, but you vote me in every day. Therefore, we'll go to Boston, you and me. We'll face her, not with anger, but with the truth of our roots, love that endures, loss that strengthens, hope that blooms. The moral, child, is clear as creek water. Family ain't about what you take, but what you give. Laura wanted me gone, but my story, our story, brings her back, not to my money, but to my heart. Revenge is her seeing what she threw away, and maybe, just maybe, choosing to mend it. Therefore, we'll pack our bags, Alex, but we'll carry this house in us, its walls our strength, its roots our legacy. As the embers fade, I kiss your forehead, knowing we've won, not against Laura, but for her, for you, for the home that holds us tight.